Jesus. It's gonna get fucked up. What's happening? Let's come up any higher. If anything, it's perhaps too high.
Overall, the M119 is actually not hard to remove from the 140, but there is a lot of room in this engine bay, so that's probably why. So it's pretty much out. Just got to get this piece of rubbish load leveler to change the angle of the engine, and it's ready to just clear that front bumper. They do have a removable core support, and their condenser is obviously removed, so that does make life very easy. Much easier than a 124, I'd say. Interestingly, this transmission is not original to the car. It's an official MB replacement with a 98 date code on it. So the car was 2 years old before the transmission failed and got replaced, presumably under warranty. Yeah, that would have been a costly repair for the dealership. Or they'd just claim it back anyway, but anyway. Yeah, we're going to separate the engine and transmission now and get this engine up on the engine stand so we can have a good look at it. So we've determined what the issue is with the transmission fluid absolutely hemorrhaging out of the front of this transmission. The actual bushing that the torque converter rides on is completely missing. It has spun and probably trashed the pump in the process. That's to be advised. I'll show you where it ended up. You can see where it's spun on the torque converter and kind of destroyed it in the process, but that's the bushing there. No wonder there was no sealing action going on, because yeah, that's pushed itself all the way into the actual rubber seal area. That is absolutely trashed. So this torque converter and that pump will need to be taken to a transmission specialist. These do have, I believe, frictions inside them because this is a lock-up torque converter. So this can be rebuilt, and hopefully they can just put a new or a second-hand good half on it that doesn't have this obscene damage on it. And maybe the pump can be saved, or another one will need to be sourced. It's up to Tim if he wants to spend the kind of money required to fix this thing on this rather sad looking 140. Next, we will get started on working out what the knock was in the engine. Maybe it was just the transmission, but I kind of doubt it. We're going to take the sump off and have a look. Hopefully the crankshaft doesn't look like that as well, because that's going to be a sad day if it does. Interestingly, with these M119s, you can't actually put it on these cheapy engine stands and take the sump off, because the only place for it to mount is in the sump, so can't even take that off. So what we've done is taken off the little one, which gives us a little bit of access, and we're going to try and have a look and see what's going on in there. Ideally, M119 needs the engine stand with the arms that go out and support it properly. These are not suitable for rebuilding an M119. They're just not suitable at all, because you can't take the sump off. There's nowhere else for those bottom arms to bolt into either. Absolutely nowhere. So they need to have the arms that reach out to the side and secure it in a non-traditional fashion. So when we removed the sump off this engine, we found a funny little round black plastic piece. And as it turns out, it's the end of this oil supply tube that goes to the lifters. It basically supplies oil from one side and then it shares it to the lifter on the other side as well, and apparently that's a fairly common issue where they just pop out. Is that the cause of the noise? I'm not sure. It certainly didn't sound like lifter tick, which I'm quite familiar with. Did not sound like that at all. It's like a deep knocking sound that was coming from deep inside the engine. I don't know, do M119 sound that way when they have this problem? I shall await to hear from you experts on the M119 because I'm not familiar with these engines. As for the other side, which we thought that's where the noise was coming from, all of those oil feeder tubes are absolutely perfect. It's on the opposite side where one has blown out, so I'm not sure about that. And we haven't seen anything obvious in the bottom end yet, though we're having difficulty actually turning this engine over, as in physically, to have a look in from the bottom. We shall continue trying that now. So spent probably half the day trying to find the noise on this M119 with the deep knocking noise coming from the bottom end. None the wiser. As mentioned, there is one of the oil feeder tubes to the lifters on the right hand side that has blown out, but the noise, the knocking noise, sounded like it was coming from the left hand side. There's absolutely nothing wrong over there. From what we can see of the timing chain guides, they're all absolutely perfect. The chain is nice and tight. There's absolutely no noise when the engine is turned by hand. I cannot feel any looseness of the big ends of the connecting rods either. I don't know what the hell is going on with this engine. Tim's going to carry on now and take the rest of the sump off on the engine crane and see if he can determine what's going on, and maybe by the time I get home he has an answer for me, and if so I will update the video. But until then, this remains a mystery, unless someone recognizes the noise in the previous video and can say categorically what it is. But yeah, we know about the lifter tick, but not the deep knocking noise. That's still a mystery. We couldn't find anything at all wrong with the engine other than the obviously blown out oil feed tube to the lifter. But this transmission, it's got a screwed front bearing. I have a good feeling that that's actually what the knocking noise is being caused by, and it's just transferring into the engine and getting us confused. Yeah, it's not a very good test, but if you spin this by hand, you can hear the knocking noise. So I'm pretty sure that's all it is. So the engine is probably okay. We just need to repair this transmission, which we knew was kind of screwed anyway. You know, everybody makes out that these 722.6 transmissions are absolutely fantastic. So far, I'm not impressed, to be honest. What with their constant conductor plate failures and electrical sockets leaking ATF into the wiring harness and then filling the transmission control unit with oil. I mean, come on. I never used to see this stuff on the older transmissions. Sure, they're not as nice to drive, but this is a freaking joke.